My July tour starts in the shady part of the garden where there's hosta and variegated ivy, verbena and dianthus, a daphne that probably needs more sunlight, and a mophead hydrangea leading over the bridge to my fairy garden. Hidden behind all that shrubbery are the patio doors coming from our bedroom, where there's more hosta and hydrangea, some azalea and rhododendron, a clematis that's finished blooming now, and topping the balcony with 3 hanging baskets and a hummingbird feeder. This is a view from the other direction, looking towards our wooden deck, going past our bedroom entrance just now, with the ferns and the hosta and the clematis tumbling over the railing, more hydrangea and azalea, the Japanese maple, my little fairy garden bridge there on the left with all the fairies tucked safely in boxes awaiting their new home. Of course, there are some fairy doors tucked in that ancient tree, so I'm sure some of the fairies will be staying behind. When we bought this home 34 years ago, there was one of these perennial fuchsias in the garden. They divide easily, and I've probably made 6 or 8 of these, each growing into 8-foot-high shrubs. The hummingbirds love them. This is a dwarf hydrangea growing only about 2.5 feet tall, although it certainly is prolific in its blooms. We moved this rose into a container last fall when we did some renovations. That means we'll be able to take it with us when we find our new home. This is one of many misfit containers of salvaged plants that we put together just to show our home, but I think it works. This gangly plant is spiderwort. It blooms all summer in these periwinkle blue flowers, likes to have wet feet, so we put it under a hanging basket. We didn't put quite as much effort into our hanging baskets this year. They're smaller with fewer plant selections, but they're doing really well, being fed worm castings and some fish fertilizer, and that's about it. We placed this canna lily and those peach-colored petunias in that container next to our back door to be a welcoming entry to somebody viewing our home. The canna lily's unlikely to bloom. It's not getting enough light, but it is putting out some really good growth. I'm grateful for the gift of this salvia from my friends here in Victoria. It sits outside our dining room window. I love this vantage of being able to look down onto our lower deck, see the hanging baskets, see our beautiful little red lounge that we like to rest on, and the Japanese maple. My jasmine usually blooms in July. It's a bit slower this year, but these highly fragrant white flowers are beginning to show themselves. I bought this fanciful container with pansies from a neighbor who was moving. Sounds ironic, but I thought it would add some lively color to our patio, and it certainly does. This is another one of my misfit containers. We just wanted to add some color to show off the house, so we put together a geranium that wasn't going to fit into a hanging basket, and that is actually Greek oregano. That's just that stunning yellow color, and it makes an outstanding container plant. My panicled hydrangea is a bit late as well, showing its color. Those lime yellow flower heads are vanilla strawberry, and they'll eventually be this vibrant pink leading to white. This corner of the garden I actually call death row because all of these plants at one point were on their last legs. We've got those beautiful hibiscus shrubs, alstroemeria, Japanese anemone, hostas, perennial fuchsias, so much more. In the background is a giant araucaria, which used to be my children's Christmas tree in the house. It's a Norfolk Island pine. But as you can see, with a little bit of mulch and some worm casting TLC, all of these plants are doing just fine. This black-stemmed hydrangea caught my eye right away when I saw it in a nursery I had it benchmarked for our front garden, but the deer had other ideas and ate it to the ground. It has recovered and it's now in a back border, and these beautiful feathery blossoms are a sight to behold. I arrived at a garden show late one year and everything was picked over. A master garden saw me sitting there looking forlorn, and she brought me this 2-inch container with a 6-inch cutting of this hydrangea. She clasped her hands around mine and said, "Take this home, dear, and grow it. It is the most spectacular hydrangea. Here it is. I believe it's the wedding gown dwarf hydrangea." And she's right. It is absolutely marvelous. I'm going to be taking cuttings of this one and my black-stemmed hydrangea to our new home. This strawberry arbutus tree was another shrub that was supposed to be out the front, but then the deer decided to eat it. This just made it bushier than ever. And look at the fruits coming. These taste between a strawberry and a lychee, and they ripen at Christmas. Here's a sneak peek of what it'll look like through the winter months. We use different plant varieties in the hanging baskets on the garage. There's a gigantic fuchsia about to open. Way too high for me to get any closer. This is one of the fuchsias that I overwinter in our greenhouse. We will be taking them with us when we finally move. I cut them back hard in January or February at the latest, and then they do this. The gate is smushing this clematis, almost holding it hostage behind bars there. And of course, the wind is also having its way with it today. This clematis must be over 30 years old, and it's lovely every year, growing on our camellia bush. That bright spark of a raspberry blossom is a bee balm. It's said to have both antifungal and antibacterial properties, so I might just try it out and see how long the worms take to process it once those flowers have died back. These yellow daisies aren't quite ready to open yet, and right next door to them is the dramatic and striking giant ligularia with its flower spikes just beginning to emerge. This stone containers on our front walkway has a variegated ivy, one of those misfit geraniums, a verbena, and I think a dianthus hanging off the far end. Of course, planted in the border in the background is a calla lily. Most of the flowers are starting to fade now, but there's still a few that are quite fresh. They're just spectacular. I'm a big fan of Daphne. This specimen in a vase is on our front walkway and greets visitors with that wonderful fragrance as they walk to our door. We actually grow leeks in this border most of the year because the deer won't eat them out front here. But now it's all tidied up with just the salvia, some remnants of bulbs, and the rock with our address. We're sure going to miss this home. And here's the bonus blooper when I was filming. Just wait for it. Hi, Flash. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye for now.